What's up guys, Donnie B here. DJI kind of snuck one on us with the release of the Action 4. I mean, I knew we could expect one, but it really was unannounced. Honestly, I was kind of hoping for the Pocket 3, but this will definitely do until then. I think 2023 has been the year of refinement. It seems every video I've made has been how there hasn't been many big changes, but they've greatly improved on what they already have. Samsung, Apple, and now DJI. You'll probably never hear me say this again, but I'm not as upset about it with DJI as I am the others. The Action 4 looks almost identical to its predecessor, with the exception that it's now black instead of gray and has red accents instead of orange. But under the hood, it's a whole new animal. This video is not sponsored, and I purchased this camera because I genuinely love DJI products, and the Action 3 could have been such a great camera. I mean, it ended up being a good camera after a few updates, but it had a rocky start. The Action 4 is everything I wanted out of the Action 3 and much, much more. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get into it. One of my biggest gripes about the Action 3 is that the audio would break up pretty bad with the slightest bit of wind. Not everyone's wanted to have to use an external microphone to get good clean audio, which the Action 3 did in a perfect environment. Audio is one area that's been greatly improved. But one thing that's been a huge improvement with the Action 4 is the audio coming straight out of camera. I mean, right now this audio you're hearing is coming straight from camera, no external microphones, nothing like that. It's just good. The wind reduction has been amazing, and I think a lot of that has to do with they changed the holes on the top of the camera. It's still got the two forward-facing microphones right there in the Action 3 and Action 4 logo, but instead of two long slits at the top, now it's 8 small holes. Does a lot better with wind reduction. Hey. Still get weirded out in public doing this, but it still has the same two forward-facing microphones that are hidden inside the Action 4 badge, and the top microphone is still in the same spot as well, but they redesigned the grill from just 2 larger slits to 8 smaller holes, and this has helped with the wind noise tremendously. And for those of you that do want to use an external microphone, the gain settings have changed from -12 to 20 dB on the Action 3 to -20 to 30 dB on the 4. The field of view is still the same at 155 degrees. Me personally, I'll always leave it in standard D-warp. I find that has the least amount of distortion, and the 17mm full frame equivalent is right in that sweet spot. Sticking with things that stayed the same, the Action 4 uses the same 1770 mAh battery that the Action 3 uses, and can be charged to 80% in 18 minutes with its 30 watt fast charging. It takes just over 45 minutes to take it all the way to 100%, and DJI claims you can get 120 minutes of recording in 1080p 24 frames per second. I very rarely drain a battery all in one go, but in 4K 30 I was consistently getting about an hour. Weather really plays a big factor here, and we've been going through it with the heat lately. Maybe you can get a little bit better, but that was the best I could do. Oh, and they also stayed with probably the best mounting system on any camera to date. And you can still record vertically by mounting it on its side if you're into using cameras on their side. Also, in case anyone was wondering, the Action 4 will fit in the Action 3 cages. I tested it with the small rig, the Ulanzi, and the PGY Tech, and they all fit perfectly. But if you have ND filters for the Action 3, those will not work. And it's a good reason why, and that's a perfect segue into what's new. So the gatekeepers over at DJI have blessed us with a sensor that is 65% larger than last year. That's right, 65%. The Action 4 now has a 1/1.3 inch sensor. Bigger sensor, better performance. And boy does it perform. I had both the Action 3 and the Action 4 on a selfie stick and got the exact same footage just as the sun was going down looking over the Coosa River. Look at the difference in the graphs at the bottom of the screen. Both cameras have the exact same settings of 4K 30 and ISO was set to automatic 100 to 3200. The improvement is huge. Like I said earlier, and we'll probably say again, this is the camera that the Action 3 should have been. Now, I've waited a couple weeks before recording this video because honestly, I kind of jumped the gun on the Action 3. So many people had so many different results with it, and when something new comes out and you have that first wave of people on YouTube that tell you how great it is, knowing dang good and well that they can't tell you everything without getting into hot water with the company that sent it to them. Now, with that being said, the Action 4 has easily become my favorite action cam. The battery is great, the audio is great, the image quality is amazing. My only complaint is that the price has gone up to $399 for the standard combo. While we're talking about that, let's get into what you get for $399. In the box, you get the Action 4 1770 mAh battery, a magnetic quick release, a helmet mount, and a lens hood. The lens hood is actually pretty cool and is the first time they've ever included anything like that. I don't know why they did, and I can't really find anything online about it, but it is about half as thick as the glass lens and it offers zero protection from drops, scratches, or even water. The camera weighs 143 grams with the glass element and 138 with the plastic lens hood, so maybe it was for saving weight for attaching it to a helmet or hiking on a trail or whatever. The menu has changed a little bit, being that they removed 10-bit HDR from the mode options. I'm assuming because it does it by default now, but the only option that states 10-bit is in D-Log-M. Now, to get the maximum dynamic range, you'll want to use the 10-bit D-Log-M, which is the same flat color profile you'll find on the Mini 3 Pro and the Air 3. For those of you who like to color grade, this is what it looks like with the Rec 709 LUT from DaVinci Resolve. But I find that the normal standard color profile works just fine. Enhanced image quality has been removed, but image adjustments have been added. This is where you can adjust plus or -2 in sharpness and +1, -2 in noise reduction. Or you can just choose a portrait preset where it adjusts automatically. You guessed it, sharpness and noise reduction. Low light enhancement is also new, but the highest resolution it'll work in is 1440p 30 frames per second. And all these settings can be found by tapping the two adjustment sliders on the right side of the screen. This is also where you can select between mono and stereo audio channels and toggle on noise reduction. When an external microphone is plugged in, this is where your adjustments for your gain will be as well. The settings menu is pretty much the same with the exception of removing scuba diving mode and adding support for a Bluetooth remote control. This may be useful for some, but it is a $79 add-on, and personally I've always had great success with the voice commands for starting and stopping recording and even taking photos. But this remote is equipped with GPS and will bake in that data to your video through the Mimo app. I did try to connect a generic cheap Bluetooth shutter button I had for a phone, but had no luck getting it to connect. I will leave a link to the DJI one in the description if you're interested. In fact, there will be a link for everything we discussed in this video, and by purchasing anything through them, it does support the channel directly. And if you want to support the channel without having to buy anything, you can consider liking and subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything, and you might actually learn something, eventually. I said this in my long-term review of the Action 3. I feel like DJI rushed that camera out to compete with GoPro. It was released on the very same day as the Hero 11 with promises of features that would come via updates later on, and they did eventually come. A lot of people had a lot of issues with focusing, and it was frustrating. But the Action 4 was released on their own terms, on their own time. And I'm pretty sure GoPro is probably scrambling to compete with DJI now. The complete opposite of last year. As far as action cams go, DJI knocked this one way out of the park. Well, that's going to do it for this one. thank you in advance for hitting that thumbs up, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I typically do reply to all of them as long as they're respectful and considerate. If you go there to be a buzzkill, then I just hit that heart and move on. Don't forget to subscribe and check out those links if you're considering picking up the Action 4. And if you're into wearables, then you might want to check out this video on the Galaxy Watch 6 Classic. As always, take care of yourselves. You know you deserve it. I'm Donnie B, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.